Welcome back to another episode of Build and Drive, where we modify this E90 into a budget-friendly track car for less than $1,000. So, spoiler alert, definitely couldn't get it under $1,000, and you'll see why.
No, God!
7 hours later.
How's that?
So hit the subscribe button if you guys are interested in following along on this series. It definitely was a fun one. So welcome everybody. If you've been following the channel, you know we have this BMW E90 325i that we bought that have done a lot of stuff too. Now the problem is when we went to the track, we had lots of issues, and ever since then I've been trying to sort them out. So can we actually get this car reliable
You serious?
and going fast
I need a turbo! Holy crap, we're slow!
for less than $1,000? We're here at the Nürburgring, so that means we've made it here. But we'll start at the beginning and show you guys step by step everything that we've done and see if it actually made a difference. So first off, whenever I buy a car, I do basic maintenance, change the oil, check the fluids. I have tutorials on how to do this cheap and easy on my channel, so save yourself some money and check out the link to the playlist below. So, the story begins when I went to a track day at Zolder. The E90 was a lot of fun to drive on the track.
Dude, this is your first time. Take it easy.
It had good power and torque,
Slow down, slow down. Oh, slow down!
but I noticed the suspension was quite soft in the corners,
Oh my God!
and when the tires got hot, it did not have a good turn-in feel, and I even had some understeer.
Holy Holy crap. I keep forgetting you're a really good driver.
The brake pedal also got squishy toward the end of the sessions. Luckily, I was driving slow, so I let the car cool off. Well, it's not like they're burning or anything. Ooh, tires are nice and sticky. Now, this is the dream right here. If we could get my car to this spec, that'd be amazing right here. I then got to drive the Apex BMW 218i modified with JRZ suspension and Nankang tires. What else has been done to this?
Suspension mostly, you will feel it. Tires, Nankang AR1, suspension JRZ RS1, and yeah, obviously brakes, the casual bits.
Yeah. So, what do you think people should do? Buy a two-door sports car and make a dedicated track car, or buy a heavier, stock, everyday car that they can take to the track?
It depends on people's preferences and budget, obviously. Some people can buy like a race car like this, or we can also have a lot of fun here. So here, just bit on the brakes, steering into the right curb, and here you can go flat. And obviously if you're in a race car, this a long straight is a bit more fun, maybe.
Yeah.
But with the proper suspension, tires and brakes, you will see that the corner speeds of this car is actually pretty good as well. So here on the brakes, a bit more harder. Yeah, okay. And turn in.
Wow, it's so lightweight. You can really throw it.
Yeah, you can.
In my car, you really have to slow down. The four-door is not...
Yeah. It's still a heavy car. It's not a light car.
How heavy?
It's just like the suspension. So brake at the 100. So here, hard on the brake. Hard. End of the curb zone, turn in. And turn. And left curb. Very well done.
Now, I don't like to use lap times as a comparison tool, given that cars are built to different specifications, drivers have varying skill levels, and each track has its own advantages and drawbacks. But let's briefly compare apples to oranges using lap times on Zolder. I don't know how many laps I did in my BMW, but I only had 3 laps in the 218i, which the first and last lap don't really count anyway. So let's compare cars for a second here. My BMW had more power, but stock brakes, stock tires, and suspension. The Apex 218i had amazing JRZ suspension, excellent Nankang tires, and some aftermarket brake pads, fluid, and steel braided brake lines. But the car had about 40 horsepower less than my car. Now, all of those things combined helped me feel way more confident in the car going through the corners. I could brake later, and I got an overall faster lap time. So how much do only the modifications cost then? A quick Google search of estimated prices showed me that if I only replaced the stock parts on my BMW, it would cost around $1,100. And the modifications to the 218i would cost around $5,000, not including labor. Which is not bad considering I could have gone faster given I had extra seat time. Now understanding this, I knew I needed to modify my car a bit while trying to stick to a budget. It would be super cool to have a dedicated track car and probably be safer too, but I don't go to the track enough to justify the extra cost of buying and modifying a car, so I looked for some middle ground. I wanted a car that I can turn the key, drive to the track, have fun, and have the car be reliable. So here's the plan. Swap the brakes all around, find a better wheel and tire combination, and change the suspension.
By sheer coincidence.
Except plans change and older cars have problems, but we'll get into all that in a second.
Nice. It's a good combination.
Yeah.
And balance over power, I think, is the way to go when you're learning.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I'll
you.
see you at the Nürburgring this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that year was my first experience going to the Nürburgring. I got a rental car with Misha several times that year, went out and learned how to drive the track before taking my car out. Now what could go wrong driving an almost 20-year-old BMW on a racetrack? Well, everything. On my first few laps in my own car, I had a great time. While I exited the track and was stuck in traffic, I lost all brake pressure, and because the rear brakes had gotten so hot, it boiled the new DOT brake fluid and actually melted the rotor itself. On another visit, I heard a loud twang sound going through the corner and found out it was the front wheel bearing going bad.
Like a glove.
Another time, I was halfway to the Nürburgring and I had some misfires on the Autobahn. Turns out I had a bad coil, so I had to turn around and go home. I swapped all the spark plugs and coils, and I keep extra in my trunk. Lesson learned. Oh, and then did you think we were done there? The list goes on. Oil leaks, coolant leaks, Vanos issues, DISA issues, CCV problems, airbag issues, map sensor problems, oxygen sensors. Over the years, everything has gone wrong, leaving me a massively frustrated headache and wasting a ton of time fixing the car rather than driving it.
A chunk of the spark plug blew off. That is not good.
I think most E90 owners can relate to me when I say,
That is one big pile of shit.
Oh, yes, but we're not done yet.
Now to make matters worse, N52 engines are known for their oil consumption issues, and suddenly mine went through the roof to 1 liter per 300 kilometers. The engine would foul spark plugs, and a rattling noise appeared in the engine. In the cylinder head, I knew the engine was toast.
What do you think, Leeds?
I don't know, maybe we get this back together.
Yep.
Maybe I should have just junked the car and started fresh, but I don't like to give up when I'm knocked down, even if my engine is knocking. What? And COVID hit, so I couldn't even get another car if I wanted. So I did what every smart, rational, logical person would do, and I painstakingly rebuilt and swapped the engine in my own garage. If you're interested in learning how to do that, the entire video playlist of tutorials are linked below. I guess the upside to that experience is now we have an awesome YouTube channel for the E90 community to learn how to save money fixing their cars and keeping their E90s out of the junkyard. But also, we finally have a solid, rebuilt, reliable N52 engine to lean on.
We did it. 1,012 kilometers on the new motor. Rebuild is a success.
Kapoom, poom, poom, poom.
Yeah, let's not do that.
And after driving it for the first time at Hockenheimring,
I need a turbo! Holy crap, we're slow!
I was very proud of the fact that it was still running in one piece and got me home with no issues.
You know, it's not about the driving skills, it's about the mechanical skills. I mean, this is your engine.
Yeah, this is it.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Kein Problem.
Kein Problem. You know why? Because BMW.
up?
Oh, that's not good.
And got me home with no issues.
I feel like I can talk about this for hours, so for now, let's move on to Chapter 2, modifications for the track. Number 1, brakes. The first time around, I swapped out all the brakes for new stock ATE rotors and pads, and I upgraded the fluid to ATE Type 200 racing brake fluid. Now I kept having overheating issues in the rear, so I purchased some off-brand semi-metallic brake pads, which helped out a little, but I eventually designed and 3D printed some brake cooling, which helped a lot. I'm trying to design a better version. DM me if you're interested in purchasing one. After several visits to the track later, I was still struggling with the brake pedal quite a bit, so I installed some steel braided brake lines which helped modulate the brake pedal pressure more, but the car still felt heavy under braking, so my only ultra budget option is to upgrade the brakes with larger calipers and rotors from a 330i. Now, you'll have to wait for that comparison video coming out soon, so consider subscribing and following along if you're interested. Second big modification, the suspension. I was looking at the KW suspension, but I ended up swapping to the Bilstein B6 strut, which combined with the iBox springs which were already on the car is equivalent to the Bilstein B12 Pro Kit. This was designed and tuned at the Nürburgring as a drop-in replacement for the E90 stock suspension. It's much beefier, sportier, lowered strut for a comfortable street use, but also good enough for basic track use. This is a set it and forget it kind of modification, which is what I want, and it was not too expensive. It works great so far. Number 3, tires. The car had Goodyear asymmetric 2 tires with 225 40 R18s in the front and 255 35 R18s in the rear. Now these tires were great for high-speed driving on the Autobahn. They're designed to give some understeer from the factory to keep the car safe and controlled at the limit. I found a used set of Yokohama Advan 8008R tires with staggered offset, and after going to the Hockenheimring, the car felt a lot better with the new suspension, brakes, and tires, but it still didn't turn in as good as I wanted, and it did understeer a little bit at the limit. Now, this is a great setup for a beginner, as I was able to really go into the corners with a lot more confidence and find the limit safely with no oversteer while learning the track. But after several visits to Hockenheimring and Nürburgring, the car really struggled in the lower, tight hairpin turns. Now, I played with tire pressures a bit, but couldn't get rid of the understeer. After some research, I ditched the 255 rears and went to a fully square setup with 225s all around, which made the car rotate amazing. Now, I added some cheap Alutech Wizard lightweight wheels I got on eBay, and the lighter wheels really helped reduce the unsprung and rotating mass, theoretically helping the car suspension and shift the weight. Now, I'll admit, this got rid of most of the understeer and improved the feel of the car while cornering and stopping, but I made the mistake of getting 18s when I should have gone for 17-inch wheels and tires because they are a bit lighter, and I would have gotten a lot more acceleration out of the car because of the low-powered engine. Now, there's still a lot of work to do, lots of ideas to try, but I have a ton of parts sitting on the shelf waiting to be swapped in this spring to take the car to the next level. But put down in the comments what you think I should try next. Now, the car is already so much fun to drive. I'm really enjoying it, and in its current form, I'm focusing on learning the different tracks, especially with an instructor, and you'll have the most fun over time. Now, I'd recommend Apex, except they're now closed in 2025. Misha, Diane, and Robert have moved on, but I'm truly grateful to them for creating a supportive motorsport community focused on safe driving at the Nürburgring and beyond. Driving on a racetrack was a lifelong dream of mine, but I was unsure how to go about it and nervous to go alone. If you are in the same boat as me, get in a rental car and instructor like I did with Misha. It will make the experience fun, safe, and enjoyable.
You brake in a straight line, let go of the brake, steering left now. Perfect. That was 10 times better than the first time.
So thanks to them, as I gained confidence, track knowledge, and now I'm able to safely drive on my own. We're going to brake right before because I'm not a fast car. We're going to brake right before, accelerate through the compression, and then brake again. Yes! So much fun. Hold them, don't lose them, don't lose them. Don't lose them, don't lose them. Don't. What the
No, I don't let you drive this. And it's more tense than I imagined. Much more tense. No way. You're amazing. Amazing. Amazing driving.
Yeah, boy.
Hit the brake. Look at the car. Jesus Christ. No, I don't dare.
Now you know what I'm talking about, eh?
And the thing
Wait, you
is,
smell the-
it's super dangerous, man, because you don't know, like, imagine it, like me driving full speed,
Yeah.
you don't know the corners, the cars fly by, like we were flying
We
at
were
105,
flying.
40, 150 in curves, but there's some really good downs, and like you feel the
Roller coaster, man.
roller coaster. Very well, very nice, very nice.
Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to check out my other video tutorials on my channel. If any of these videos were helpful to you, consider dropping a like and sharing these videos on social media to help other BMW owners save money fixing their cars. See you guys in the next video.